put this to this because I want to talk about this a little bit. So, I've recently been reading a lot more. I'm currently reading this book, The Metamorphosis. It's really sad, uh, but I recently read No Longer Human, and I can't even say I'm currently reading. I literally just started this book, like first page just started. Oh yeah, I shaved my mustache. I shaved my goatee. I wanted to show people what it looked like if I had only a mustache. Not great, I know, but I was shaving my sides, and then I messed up, like shaving here, and I was like, I'm not gonna keep it messed up, and I just said, but it's good. It's a rebirthing of character. I feel like a real Puerto Rican now because this is a very Puerto Rican thing to just have the mustache and just clean shave everything else. But I've been scrolling on YouTube, you know, looking at different books, and I ended up coming across a couple. Now, there's still more books that I want to read. Surprise, surprise. Um, I have a couple books that are over here. So let me show you the books that I have in my current possession that I have not read yet. I have one, The Metamorphosis. I'm going to be reading this. I don't know if I'll give you guys a review. I don't necessarily care to review books. Everybody's perspective is different when it comes to reading, so I'm not going to tell you guys my perspective. To be quite honest, I'd have to write down in a notebook, and I don't like writing. But with that being said, I'm currently reading this. In Kafka, from like the first couple of pages that I've read, now I said I've only read one page, but when I got this on my birthday, because I got this and No Longer Human by Osamu Dazai, I finished Osamu Dazai's book, and that shit is depressing. He's a character that you feel bad for, but you also don't. He's like a terrible human, but he's also like he had terrible shit done to him. So it's like Yozo, you want Yozo to be happy, but you also want him to reform himself, but he never does. And then when you find out that Osamu Dazai actually killed himself, the same way that his first lover, him and Yozo and his first lover or first suicide attempt goes, it's kind of really sad because it's like, damn, yo, he really like planned this shit out. He wanted to die this way. So, very sad. But Metamorphosis, I have been spoiled because I read the first essay, and it's bullshit. Now, not the book bullshit, but this is why you don't read. Listen, from page 1 to page 17 is gibberish. It's an introduction, but it's not an introduction of the book. It's an introduction to the book, and it's just people writing an essay about how they felt about the book, and it's like, I don't care about that. I want to read the book. But, I would read it after I finish reading the book. You should probably put this at the end of the book so that people can actually care about it and actually have their own thought process on what they're reading. But regardless, doesn't matter. I want to read this book. It's enjoyable. It looks like it'll be an enjoyable read because Kafka is funny, and yeah, funny but depressing. So now I have The Myth of Sisyphus. The Myth of Sisyphus. I think that I didn't know much about it. I just heard a lot from like YouTube saying that, oh, it's really good in the sense that like doing menial thing, like a menial life where a bunch of tasks that just don't matter and a lot of shit just doesn't matter, and it mirrors a lot of the Sisyphusian things in life where you work so hard to do this one thing just to have to do it again tomorrow. And so this, I think the myth is that it's the myth of Sisyphus is that he has to be happy doing what he does. That he must, in order to keep pushing that rock up the hill every single day, he has to be happy. At least that's what I believe. Don Juan. Let me actually look at that. By Franz Kafka. Let me actually look at that, because I was looking at the back of the book and now I saw something. Don Juan. I actually don't know. I'm not gonna do that research on stream. You guys don't need to see that. You're just gonna see me looking down. But yeah, that's one of the books. Then there is The Death of a Salesman. Now, I heard about this book through looking at the end of what's this called? Metamorphosis. I heard that it after you finish Metamorphosis, you should try reading Death of a Salesman. So I'll most likely be reading that next. Now, this, All About Love, it is interesting in the sense that it's trying to teach you about not only just how you love someone else, but how you love your community and how you love in general. It's trying to teach you certain things and how you can heal from loving. So, I wanted to try it. Interesting book. I heard a little bit about it, from this guy who was like, "Oh, don't read the 48 Rules of Power, whatever the fuck. Read this." And I was like, "Okay, I'll read it. I'll give it a try. Why not?" And then I've had this book in my possession for a long time. It's the Cthulhu Mythos. It's basically all the short stories from H.P. Lovecraft. I've been interested in H.P. Lovecraft. I know he's a horribly racist man, but he is interesting. And the shit he writes is interesting. So, I want to read it. I want to get to know it. And that's it. Then, the last book I have that Steph actually bought for class is Sapiens, a history book. I want to read it because I want to see what's up with history. And it goes through the whole human history. Yeah. This will probably be a grueling read, which I'll most likely be reading in between other things if I don't want to read my regular fiction. But yeah. So I have kind of books that are like thick, some books that are very paper thin. A lot of them, I'm trying to get back into reading. I'm not really a huge fan of reading, but I did want to try. I didn't really have a history of reading as a kid. Now, I read a lot of manga. Wait, actually, let me just get it. Now, I've read a lot of manga, but that I don't consider that the same level of reading actual literature. It's more like, because don't get me wrong, it still takes the same amount of processing skills to actually, understand what you're reading, right? Whether it be manga, whether it be literature. So you need to build up that skill. And I've always had that skill. My reading comprehension has always been high. Just never, I never really exercised it because I was like, well, most modern literature is really boring. And so I finally decided to look up certain things. I don't want to have too much depressing shit because then that just mirrors your whole life. Now you're depressed all the time. So I wanted to have some feel good stories, some stories about love, so I can learn a little bit. And trust me, I have a huge list of books on my Amazon wish list. Now I'm not most likely not gonna buy it from there, but I just have them just to know hey, these are books that I'm interested in. I have the whole Dostoevsky, the best of Dostoevsky. It comes with The Brothers, Idiot, Crime and Punishment, Notes from the Underground, Devil, and The House of the Dead and The Gambler. That I want to read. I saw this book, The Unlikely Pilgrimage of Harold Fry. Harold Fry. I thought it was interesting. Of course, Dracula and Frankenstein, Moby Dick, The Alchemist, Gone with the Wind, The Stand, Stephen King, JFK Slain in Dallas, LBJ. What's the name of the book actually? 11/22/63. I don't know if that's the actual book. Then I have the whole Dune trilogy, because I want to get into Dune. Watership Down, The Count of Monte Cristo, the whole Lord of the Rings thing, Shogun, The Lottery by Shirley Jackson, Grimm's Fairy Tales, Mark Fisher's Flatline Constructs, Infinite Jest. I'm sorry, I'm still just scrolling, so. Either or, Gravity and Grace by Simone Weil, Man and His Symbols, Carl G. Jung, Sun and Steel by Ryukio Mishima, The Art of War by Sun Tzu, of course. What's this shit called? Siddhartha. That one was a recommend by PewDiePie. Yeah, I'm interested in that. Aristotle, the Nicomachean Ethics. I'll probably actually look up how to say that later, but I'm on stream, so sorry, forgive me. Discourses and Selected Writings by Plato. No, not. Is it? No. It's Epic. Oh, well. I can't remember how to say his name. It's Greek, alright? Leave me alone. Things Fall Apart. The Autobiography of Malcolm X. I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. Charlotte's Web. The Color Purple. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. The whole George Orwell, 1984, Animal Farm. 100 Years of Solitude. I heard that was good. Catcher in the Rye. To Kill a Mockingbird. Of course, the Homer, Iliad and the Odyssey. Plato, The Republic. Tao Te Ching, which is by Lao Tzu. And then Flowers of Evil, and then the whole collection of Friedrich Nietzsche, which is Humans All Too Human, Thus Spoke Zarathustra, Beyond Good and Evil, On the Genealogy of Morals, and Exi Homo. I want to read all of those books. I still have more. Don't think I stopped. The Picture of Dorian Gray, Don Quixote, Huckleberry Finn, Little Woman, Prejudice, Pride and Prejudice, Macbeth, Hamlet, Othello, Fahrenheit 451. I've already read that, but I do want the book. And then I think the last one, which was The Greatest Works of Edgar Allan Poe. I do want to read a little bit of Edgar Allan Poe's works. So there is that. That is my whole book list. When I get the chance, I'll go in the description, and like if I make this a YouTube video of just me saying books that I want to read. I'm sorry for my messy room, by the way. I just looked at the background. Anyways, those are the books I want to read. The first book that I read this year is No Longer Human by Osamu Dazai. A really good book. I don't know if I can recommend it to everyone. Like, that's a classic Japanese book. But it's something that I can't necessarily tell people, hey, this is a great book. I would recommend it to you, because there's some parts of the character that, like, he's a tough person, like severely mentally ill. A lot of the times it's like a cautionary tale where it's like, don't be like this, be like this. And it's true. Like, he's not a good person, not a good human, in my opinion. and you know, but you can't help but feel bad for him because there's plenty of things that happened to him in his early life, and then even in in the middle of his life, like he was just introduced to the wrong crowd and the wrong, and like he says sad things, and he's an unreliable narrator. You cannot believe everything he says, but it is still like sad to know this is what he feels about himself. This is what he's went through, at least through his eyes. So I don't know. It's a great book. If you decide to read it, I don't think you'll be like this. It's written terribly. The book is written great. Actually, let me go grab it right now. This book right here, written very well. A great, like, Osamu Dazai, he writes fantastic. Like, he keeps you hooked. He keeps you feeling a certain way. Like, there were moments where I felt like this man is genuinely evil. And then there were moments where I'm like, God damn, can this man catch a break? Like, just give him a second. Like, he's getting close to being normal. Just give him time. And then something happens where he can't. And so, like, genuinely, it's sad. But it's a cautionary tale. I feel my best way to describe reading this book is read it like a cautionary tale. Read it as someone to not be like. Do not be like this man. Yozo Oba, he's genuinely not, like, he's a victim by all means, but he's a victim that creates victims, and you never want to be that. I understand if you're a victim and you try to grow from it, that's not what this man is. This man is a victim perpetuating the cycle of creating more victims, and thus ruining the quality of lives around him. But his quality of life was ruined very early as well. So, very sad book. Can't say I recommend it, but what I can say is if you do read it, you won't be bored. I'll tell you that much. He genuinely, like, so when I was on the train for 2 hours and some change, I was reading this. And I was on the train, like, there was moments where I was like, Jesus Christ, I want to cry. Because, why? Why on God's green earth can this man not catch a break? And why is this man so evil? He's not evil, but why can't he just think? Like, why can't he think like a normal person for 1 second? But he's obviously made it clear that he is not a normal person. He doesn't even consider himself human. He considers himself closer to a monster. And, I sometimes have self-destructive tendencies. So, sometimes I relate to this character. I relate to him in a lot of ways that I don't like. Like, I'll say one thing. I relate in the aspect of, like, when he finds out something's created with a purpose, he loses interest. Like, so there was one part in the book, and I'm only going to talk about this part. There was one part in the book when he he's, as a kid, playing in a train. I believe it's a train bridge. And he's like, oh my God, this is so wonderful. He's having so much fun. And then later on, he finds out that the train bridge was created so that people can cross. So that, it serves a purpose. And when he found out about it, he stopped playing there. He lost all interest in it. And as a person like me, I struggle with keeping interest in a lot of things. The reason why I'm not so, like, politically active is because I lose interest in it. We know it's going to be the same thing. We expect the same situations, and if you keep my interest, you have me, and I'm enthusiastic. But when you don't, when I lose interest, it's so hard to find interest back in it. Like, that's why I'm surprised that, I'm not surprised, but I genuinely enjoy streaming, and can't say video making because I don't make videos, but genuinely enjoy video games and streaming, which is why, like, I'm trying to ride this as long as possible. But I do think I'll always stick with it because video games it's not just video games is not just, let me put this book down. It's not just, play a game. Because I lost interest in Marvel Rivals. I've lost interest in Fortnite. To me, video games is another form of storytelling, and I appreciate games that do storytelling. So that's why I play those games. And that's why for this whole year, I've only been playing single player video games, having a blast. I'm not one of those competitive people. The only time I get competitive is when I'm losing, and you start talking shit, and I'm like, oh, word, bet. That's the only time, and I love to talk shit. I love to spit some nasty some nasty, vitriol at people. Nah, I don't need to say racial slurs to you. I think that's beneath me. What I'll do though is I'll attack your character. Any sense of like, if I even feel like you got hurt by something I said, I'm gonna play on that. But that's besides the point. A little side tangent. But yeah, so a lot of the book I kind of relate to the character, not in the sense like there's a lot I don't relate with him, and the parts I will say is that like I'm very like vocal about my needs. That's something that he's never been. But I have been a jester before where I'll kind of act like, to make sure that no one hates me, I'll be the butt of the joke. I'll be making sure everybody laughs. And that way, if everybody's laughing, they don't have time to hate me. But as I've gotten older, I stopped jesting because it doesn't do anything for me. It just makes me feel more tired and drained. Like, yeah, people like you more, but do they really? And so, like, I also am quick to take action. I don't like sitting and waiting when I know there's the right choice and the right answer. And that is something he does a lot. So it does annoy me a bit with his character, but that's besides the point. I think that's it. Book review over. Yeah, that's it. Those are just my books that I plan to try and read. The books on Amazon, I like reading physical books. I can't read digitally. The only thing I can read digitally is manga. After manga, I cannot read digitally. And also, I like to buy physical volumes. So if we're talking about manga, I want to buy the full physical volume set of Naruto, Bleach. When One Piece finishes, One Piece. There's so many Chainsaw Man. There's so many things that I want to buy. Monsters by far, like goat tier. 20th century boy, like come on, those books are goated. Those are goated pieces of literature. I don't care if you don't think manga is not literature. Is that right there? The books that I mentioned, Naruto, it's still the big three. So even though it has some weak moments, in my opinion, it's still great. Bleach, genuinely like goated. One Piece, there's a reason Oda's one of the top selling authors right now. He's the GOAT. There's no other way to say it. How can you make a character who came out in chapter 50 relevant and actually useful? Boy's on chapter 1,100 and something now. I like to stock up my pages because I blitz through them really quickly. But with that being said, that's it. Book review over. But yeah, those are the books I kind of want to read throughout the year, or just in general. If you guys have any book recommendations, I'll probably take them into account. Money's a little tight at the moment, so I can't necessarily buy the books. That's why I was saying, like, people say, oh, just pirate books. I'm like, nah. I like owning my books, and I like the ability to read them physically. Like, I like the smell of books. I like a lot about the books. So, anyways, that's it. Thank you, guys. That's it.